So good morning everyone. How's it going? Cannot listen to you all. Just wait. Yeah, so please again good morning everyone.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
Good morning, sir.
So half an hour early. Are you all sleepy? No? Used to all this early mornings. So if at all you are sleepy, then I'll tell you, or you are telling me that you are not sleepy, then let's just hear out one story. I'll narrate you one story so that you may become sleepy or your sleep may go out. Let's see schedule 2 part 1 what we were seeing. Let's try to memorize the clause numbers. Clear? Via story. So this story relates to, if everyone has seen Parker, Spider-Man, right? So Spider-Man, this Mary wanted to disclose the face of Spider-Man. So Mary, you remember Mary from Spider-Man? Have you all seen Spider-Man movie? Original one, right? So Mr. Parker, he wanted to see the face of Spider-Man, but Spider-Man refused to disclose the confidential information. Spider-Man refused to disclose the confidential information, and therefore she threw the Spider-Man, and Spider-Man got injured, and we took him to the hospital. And doctor, without examining, see how he's examining, just by looking at him. That means without any such examination, without examining, he declared Spider-Man dead. He declared Spider-Man that he has died, and therefore I saw that how can he do so without any examination? How can he declare himself? How can he declare Spider-Man as he has died? Therefore, I have vouched all the records, or vouched all the records of the Spider-Man. So vouching. So do you remember this clause? Vouching for the accuracy of the forecast. We cannot do so. We cannot vouch for the accuracy of the forecast. So similarly, we vouched for that clause 3. We vouched for this, and I asked the doctor that do you do so also in the case of relatives, just like our teacher used to ask us. Remember that will you do the same in your home? Will you do the same with your brother and sister also? Will you do the same with your parents? Right. Similarly, I also asked the doctor that will you do the same with your relatives, declaring them as died? Will you do the same? So doctor, he replied like this. Oh ho ho ho. I cannot tell you one thing. I cannot disclose one material fact about one of my relative. I fail to do so. I fail to disclose one material fact. I cannot do so. And I asked him, no. You have to tell me, please. You have to tell me now whether you do so along the same thing with your relative. So doctor was telling, no, I can't disclose one thing about my relative. I found one MMS of my relative. I found one MMS of my relative, and now that the relative was very depressed that how can he be so grossly negligent? How can he be so grossly negligent that the doctor found this MMS? And therefore now the doctor, what he was trying to do is he was trying to invite everyone, and without any further information, he was trying to express what he saw in the MMS or whatever he saw in the video, and he was trying to express without obtaining any information, and he invited everyone, he invited attention inviting attention of everyone. But suddenly that relative came and broke the mobile broke the mobile of the doctor, and that is called as what? Material departure. So this material is our what here? Mobile got departed, right? So material departure. So can you see screen now?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So what I was telling is the relative suddenly came in between and broke the mobile. That is what our material departure. Material departure, right? And therefore I asked him the money of for the mobile. It was a very costly mobile. So I asked the money from my client, from my relative. I asked the money from him. So again, quickly, if you can say, this is what, this is nothing but what we call is a kiss. A kiss in Hindi is called as 21, right? So a kiss is what Mary trying to kiss, a kiss, Mary trying to kiss Spider-Man. So for that, Spider-Man failed to disclose. That is, Spider-Man refused to disclose his confidential information. That is his original identity, and therefore Mary just pushed him, and Spider-Man fell. And therefore, Doctor, without examining, declared the Spider-Man died. And then we vouched all the doctors' records, everything, and vouched for the accuracy of the forecast, and asked doctor whether he do so in the case of their relatives as well. That does he do the same in the case of his relative? So doctor was just remember this face. Doctor was laughing and asking, oh, I can't tell you this fact. I can't disclose you one material fact. So I asked him what was this material fact. So he told me that I can't. He saw what material misstatement. Sorry, he saw what MMS. MMS is what are material misstatement. So fail to report material misstatement is clause 6. You can also remember clause 6 as our checkpoint in the story. Checkpoint in the story. Yes, in the MMS he saw that sixer. He saw himself as sixer, and therefore relative was very depressed, and he was saying that how can he be so grossly negligent. And now that he failed to obtain the information, without obtaining any information, doctor immediately told everyone, trying to tell everyone, so inviting attention of everyone. So suddenly relative came and departed the material, that is departed the mobile. Material departure from generally accepted audit procedures. Remember, generally accepted audit procedures are what? Are standards on auditing, right? And lastly, since he broke my mobile, and therefore I asked the money from my relative. So that is how you can link all the clauses. Clause number 1, if you can link, is fail to disclose material information, and then without examination, you if you are expressing an opinion on the financial statement without the examination, either done by you or by your partner or by your employee or by another chartered accountant in practice. Similarly, vouching for the accuracy of the forecast, you cannot do so. You cannot permit your firm to be associated with signing of any future forecast, future statement performance of the entity, unless you fulfill those 4 conditions of SAE 3400. Do you remember SAE 3400? Examination of prospective financial information, examination of PFI, prospective financial information, which told us what? Boyfriend का source पता नहीं चला था, तो we used to what do? Assume. We assumed it, and basis on that we forecast, right? So boyfriend BF was basis of forecast. Assume is all the assumptions you have to mention. Source of information also you have to mention, and that now you have everything. So you will now clearly say at the last that you do not vouch for the accuracy of the forecast. You do not vouch for the accuracy of the forecast. And therefore I asked him that whether he do so all in the case of relatives as well. So he replied that yes, I cannot disclose one important material fact. So relative, that clause was with respect to clause 4, which told us about what? That CAP shall be deemed to be GPM if he is expressing an opinion on the financial statement of a business or enterprise of which he or his partner or his firm is related or is substantially interested with the entity. And later in the just below the clause we also saw what he or his relative is also substantially interested. So overall, what all persons we have to cover is he or his relative or his partner or any of his firm is substantially interested in that entity, and then in that case we will refrain from auditing those entities. We'll try to refrain from those entities. And then lastly, if clause 5 was with respect to disclosure of material fact, the disclosure of which is necessary in the preparation of financial statement, so as to make such financial statement not misleading, right? And then clause 6 was with respect to fails to report a material misstatement which was known to him. Again, known to him is very important in clause 5 and clause 6. I told you the significance, right? Known to him, if known to him, then clause 5 and 6 will trigger, and if not, then clause 2, clause 7, clause 8. Clause 2, clause 7, clause 8, right? And fail to disclose a material misstatement known to him to appear in a financial statement with which he is concerned in his professional capacity. Then clause 7, with respect to you are not exercising due diligence or is grossly negligent in the conduct of your duties. Clause 8 was again with respect to not obtaining sufficient information, and that information was so material that it negates the expression of the opinion. The exception of obtaining this information will negate the expression of the opinion. So fails to obtain material information, sufficient information which is necessary for expression of an opinion, and the exception are sufficiently material to negate the expression of the opinion. And then clause 9 with respect to fail to invite attention. Invite attention, that is, I am not inviting the attention. Where am I departing from the compliance of the standards on auditing? So wherever if I am at all non-compliant with the standards on auditing, with the generally accepted audit procedures of the applicable under the circumstances, then I have to invite the attention to the same points, that yes, I have not been able to comply with SA 505 or SA 510, whatever be the case. I have to invite the attention to the same. And lastly is with respect to fails to keep money of his client. This we will see now. Let's see. A bit of clause 9 is remaining, but let's just first see clause 10 first. Clause 10 tells us what? That you fail to keep money of your client except other than fees and remuneration, because the fees and remuneration that he is providing to you is your money. But suppose the client is somewhat bringing some money and wants you to take custody of it, and ultimately belongs back to the client only. Ultimately it has to be returned to the client, or it has to be expended in a way that clients wants us to expend, in a way that clients wants desires us to expend. So if you are failing to keep this money in a separate bank account, the money which the client is giving it to you to keep yourself in a custody and expend it in a way that the client desires, or return back to him in a way that the money is belonging to whom? The money belongs to the client. So fails to keep money of his client except fees or remuneration, because these fees or remuneration now belongs to us. Fees or remuneration except this money, if you fail to keep, or money which is meant to be expended, any of this money in a separate bank account, or use such money for the purpose for which the client intended us to do so in a reasonable period of time. Client intended us to do so, supposed to file ROC, and he wanted us that also to file the ROC fees along with the submission of the forms. So client gave us the money along with the ROC filing fee. He also gave us the money to be submitted to the registrar. So this has to be paid to the ROC. Similarly, suppose advance tax. Client gave us the money. He wanted us to submit the advance tax on behalf of the client, and therefore he gave us the money. Now, if we are using it for any purpose other than advance tax payment, then we will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Will be held guilty of professional misconduct. And if we are getting any money, if we are getting any money other than for short term purpose, then we need to keep it in a separate bank account. So what is short term, what is long term purpose, that will depend on a case to case basis, facts to facts case basis, that we'll see just below. Now the first point deals with advance. What do you think? If we receive the advance for audit fee, suppose I am charging you 1 lakh rupees audit fee and ask you 50,000 in advance. Now this 50,000 advance that I have received, what do you think? Do I need to keep it in a separate bank account? No, this is a part of my fees. Except I told you, right, what the except other than fees or remuneration. So advance received by chartered accountant against services to be rendered does not fall under this clause domain. Does not fall under this clause. Just remember that. Now, secondly, the money is received for expenses to be incurred. For example, payment of prescribed statutory fees. That is what I told you. Example, ROC fees, purchase of stamp paper, etc., which are intended to be spent within a reasonably short period of time. That means you can see that purchase of stamp paper could be done in a matter of, let's say, 10 to 15 days. In next 15 days or odd, we have to purchase a stamp paper, or next month or odd, we have to file the ROC. We have to file with ROC all the ROC fees. Then if it is done within a reasonable short period of time, then you need not keep it in a separate bank account. That is one more exception to clause 10. Need not be put in a separate bank account. However, money which are not intended to be spent within a reasonable short period of time, that means what? Money which are intended to be spent within long periods of time. Example, he has given us a custody, he has given us for custody, or if suppose he wants us to spend this money after 6 months in a way that he wants us to do so, then that shall be put in a separate bank account immediately. Clear? And lastly, money received by chartered accountant in his capacity as a trustee, executor, liquidator, etc., must be put in a separate bank account only. That means you have been appointed as a liquidator, so whatever money you will be getting after realization of all the assets and disposing of all the liabilities, you will have to you have to keep it under separate bank account. Similarly, same goes for you if you are being held as a trustee and you have been kept with certain money as a trustee. That means you will have to pass it on to the beneficiary as and when the period arises, as and when the contractual obligation arises for you to do so, right? So you'll have to pass on that money to the beneficiary. In that case, you'll have to keep that money in a separate bank account, trustee, executor, or liquidator. So advance tax installment, what do you think this will be falling within a short period? That means within a reasonable short period of time or long period? What do you think as advance tax? Where will it fall? Tell me.
For short time period, sir.
How come short period? You will have to file, you will have to submit advance tax quarterly, right? Quarterly, na? Every three
Uh,
months. Then after 6 months, you will have to, suppose he gave you 2 lakhs and he told you that, okay, submit 70,000 in the first quarter, then 40,000 in the second quarter, 50,000 in the third quarter, 40,000. So this is not something which is you have to spend in a short span of time, right? This will
sir, but he submits the money for each quarter separately. Then what?
money for each quarter is spent separately.
No,
Then
I.
also 3 months is not a short span of time, right? 3 month period is not, if you are like whatever they have given here and whatever you can think of it as a can be spent in a days, in a matter of days, that you can think of it as a short span of time. And unless specified, or you can get the question from here, that is stamp paper or statutory fees to be spent in a matter of days, then only you will consider it as short span of time. Else this is clearly a matter of long spend expenditure.
Okay, sir.
So CAP received advance tax installment amount from client in September to be paid as per due dates. As per due dates, therefore, if chartered accountant in practice failed to keep balance money after paying each installment in a separate account, then he will be held what? Guilty. Clear? Any doubt? Just see the question just beside the clause. One question is mentioned. Advance of 2 lakh against estimated expense of audit of various branches. He kept it in a savings account. That is auditor saving bank account. That means his personal bank account, na? Not a separate account. Separate bank account, you have to open a separate bank account and keep the money in a separate bank account, not in your personal bank account. Chalo then. Clause 9. We learnt what? If you fail to invite attention to any material departure from the generally accepted audit procedures which is applicable under the circumstances, then you will be held GPM under clause 9 of part 1 of schedule 1. Clause 9 of part 1 of schedule 1. So this is what SEBI has also notified. Even our institute has also notified separately as a clarification in the case of peer review chapter, that we'll see also. Apart from this, they have also mentioned other entities, but yes, this is the notification issued by SEBI. And therefore, institute had also required us to do what? In the case of audit of listed company, in the case of what? Audit of listed company. That means you are an auditor of a listed company. Then you will have to mandatorily obtain peer review certificate before you accept the audit of listed entity. So what is peer review? Peer review. Peer means what? What do you mean by peers? Peer.
Colleagues.
Colleagues, right?
Friend.
Your colleagues. So as a chartered accountant, who all will be your colleagues? As a chartered accountant in practice, who all will be your colleagues? Other firms of chartered accountant, right? So review has to be done by your other firm of chartered accountants. So in peer review, other firm of chartered accountant review how the standards on auditing has been followed in your entity, how the documentation has been done or not properly in accordance with SA 230, whether the proper communication is being done, whether internal control with respect to the entity is being followed with respect to the firm. Internal controls, that means in the case of CA firm, what all things will be the internal controls, that whether you are following standards on quality control 1 or not. So everything has to be reviewed by your peer firms, and that is why it is called as what, peer review. And then they will report the same to the institute, and institute will issue what, peer review board is a sort of council of the institute only. Peer review board is an institute coming out of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and peer review board will issue a certificate, that is peer review certificate. And this peer review certificate is valid, and the validity will be mentioned in the certificate itself. And before obtaining the audit of listed entity, before accepting the same, you ought to have what, peer review certificate. That is what is mentioned in the SEBI notification, and that is what mentioned in the clause 9 itself. And this question came in May 2022. This was an amendment sort of in May 2022, and the question also came in May 2022. And trust me, most of the people, 99% of the people, were confused how, where the chapter, what is the chapter does which this question belongs, because everything was mentioned about listed entity, SEBI, anything, and therefore everyone resort to where, LODR, listing obligation disclosure requirement, SEBI LODR chapter that will study corporate governance. So everyone got confused. No one got the click of schedule, professional ethics, schedule 1, schedule 2, part 1, clause 9. I talked to that time AIR 2 as well, and even he failed to attempt this question correctly. So you need to just ensure that wherever there you feel that this could, if at all this comes, I will not be able to actually grab that question or grab that part from where the question is coming. So here, if at all they are framing the question, definitely you will be confused how come it is falling under clause 9, because then you will also have to mention what, clause 9, 1 mark would be for that, for clause 9 mentioning. So you have to mention clause 9, and then you have to mention this part, audit of listed entity, and then conclude accordingly. Are we clear? Just telling you for future reference what your approach should be, approach while revising, approach while studying. Now comes two parts, that whenever you fails to comply with standards on auditing, you cannot simply qualify the audit report. You cannot simply qualify the audit report, since you are not able to obtain audit evidence. You are not able to obtain the audit evidence through that procedure or by performing such procedure. For example, I told you SA 505 last class, that if I fail to obtain external confirmation from according to SA 505, then there are alternative procedures also mentioned. So you cannot just qualify if you are not able to follow the audit procedures applicable under the circumstances. You will have to mention the reasons as well if you are at all qualifying the audit report. You cannot just simply qualify and tell that we are not able to obtain audit procedure. You will have to mention the reasons along with the qualification, why you are not able to obtain audit procedures, why you are not able to perform the audit procedure as mentioned under the circumstances in accordance with SA 505, 501, or whatever the case. So on failure, you should clearly indicate the reason for failure to perform audit as per generally accepted procedures and standards. It is not possible to exhaustively deal with all the generally accepted audit procedure. That is, in few cases, in few cases, you will not be able to perform the audit in accordance with essays. That means all the essays you cannot compile and apply. Specifically, if you see the case of stock audit, so you go for 1 day, right? Go for 1 day stock audit, see the entire factory premises, everything, and you get yourself with what, stock papers, then few of the debtors, creditors, ledgers, right? Current stock statements, and certain MIS, monthly information statement, that the client used to file it with banks. So in this case, in the case of verification on behalf of banks, that is, in the case of verification done on behalf of banks, stock audit statements, here in that case, you are not applying all the standards, right? You are not performing full-fledged audit. Therefore, in that case, even if you are departing from the compliance of generally accepted audit procedure, then also it will not be held as GPA. Similarly, in the case of, I told you, certifying figures of circulation of newspaper, which is requirements of the Audit Bureau of Circulation Limited. Suppose Audit Bureau of Circulation Limited requires you to what? requires you to do the certification of all the for certification of all the circulations that you made of the magazines, then in that case you will have to, you are not performing the entire audit, right, full-fledged audit, and you may have to resort to material departures from many of the standards, and in that case also you will not have to be held as GPM. That is what this clause 9 has to say. Just remember, this has not yet been asked. This has not yet been asked, these 2 points. So schedule 2 we have now over with part 1. Schedule 2 part 1. Any sort of doubt? Else then we can move forward. Part 2. Come to part 2 now. Part 2. To whom all this part is applicable? Part 2 of schedule 2.
Members of the institute. Members.
Members of the institute in general. That means can be applicable to practicing chartered accountant as well as to employee chartered accountants, right? So Moti, whether in practice or not doesn't matter, shall be deemed to be GPM if clause 1 contravenes any of the provisions of the act. Act here means which act? Which act? Arey?
CA Act 1949.
CA Act 1949, right? So contravenes any of the provision of Chartered Accountant Act 1949 or any of the regulations that is made by the Chartered Accountants Institute or any of the guidelines issued by the council. Guidelines issued by the council. So guidelines we have saw various guidelines. Remember under clause 6 there were so many guidelines. Clause 7 there were so many guidelines. Similarly, we will see council general guidelines today. Council general guidelines. So if you fail to comply with any of these guidelines, any of these regulations, or any of the provisions of the Chartered Accountants Act 1949, then you will be held GPM under Part 2, Clause 1 of Schedule 2. That is, you will be held GPM under 221. You will be held GPM under Schedule 2, Part 2, Clause 1. 221. Now let's just complete this clause with the help of questions directly. So tell me, auditor accepts entire tax audit fee of 25,000 before signing of the tax audit report, and this tax audit fees that he has accepted on advance is not on progressive basis. That means he accepted first as an audit fee and he has not started the work. Not on progressive basis means it's not like he'll be accepting this and then doing the work again, then he'll be accepting and then doing the work. It's that he has been accepted as an advance and not done the work, and he'll be doing the work later. He'll be performing the tax audit, but he has accepted the entire tax audit fee of 25,000. What do you think? Do not see the answer, please apply. Brainstorm. Where have we learned this? What can you relate this point to?
So, advance fees is like a loan.
Advance?
Fee is like a loan.
Yeah, advance fee you can treat is like a loan only. Advance fee you have received, you can treat is like now that you are indebted. Now that you are indebted, can you accept the tax audit? Indebtedness of with 25,000.
Sir, it falls under the provision of disqualification of auditor.
Right. So you accepted the audit, right? And therefore you should not have accepted the audit, because for indebtedness, what is the limit under tax audit?
1 lakh, sir.
1 lakh for?
On
No,
relatives.
only for relative.
Only
For
for
relatives only, right? For us, there
Yes.
is no limit, not even 25 rupees.
For auditors.
Yeah, so indebtedness will be held GPM, correct? And since this is a violation of guidelines, regulations issued by the council, Guideline of the council, you will see what indebtedness could not be more than rupee 1 lakh, and that too in the case where it has not been specified by the statute. Are you getting this? That if at all it is not specified by the statute, then general indebtedness that the institute gives you the guideline is 1 lakh. So here tax audit, already it is mentioned under income tax act statute that indebtedness cannot be, it is mentioned, right, 0 rupees. Similarly, company audit specifically mentioned that indebtedness could be 5 lakh. Correct? GST, in the case when GST audit was applied, when it was applicable, then in that case GST audit, GST Act does not mention any statute. Or you could say now, let's leave GST audit since it's no more applicable. Let's take an example of LLP audit. LLP, in LLP Act, LLP audit is mandatory, but no such limit is specified. No such limit of indebtedness is specified for disqualification of auditor or any sort of thing. And therefore, in that case, what will happen? General limit of 1 lakh we will see. Clear? But here clearly we know what the limit is. Limit is what? 0. CA is indebted to client for 25,000 and is statutory auditor of a company. Now what? Is it allowed?
So still 1 lakh.
CA is indebted to client for rupees 25,000 and is statutory audit of a company.
Since it's a company, its limit is 5 lakhs.
Yes, limit is 5 lakh. Limit is 5 lakh. Therefore, we are within the limit, right? Therefore, will not be held guilty. Any doubt? Now you charge only 4,000 rupees for a statutory audit. Audit in 4K. Audit in 4K. Whether you will be held GPM for charging such low amount of fees.
No.
No, sir.
No, we didn't study
No, sir.
any sort of minimum fees regulation that you have to charge this much minimum fee, right? There is no such regulation. It was there earlier, but that is now been repealed by ICAI. It was there in the recommendatory section. Now CA charge excessive fee. Now what?
Not a miss.
Not a misconduct, right? Now CA paid stipend to you. I paid stipend to you with interest on late payment. So I am paying you late, and now you have been charging me, charging on me that now, sir, that you will also have to pay interest on this late payment of stipend. So 2,000 interest will be how much? According to 12% per annum, so 1% per month will be coming 20 rupees. So you are asking me for 20 rupees. So whether you will be held GPM?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, guilty.
Sorry, you or me?
You, sir.
The CA will
Chartered
be-
accountant.
If you are chartered.
Yes, sir, I am a chartered accountant.
Yeah.
So I'll be held guilty because I am not paying stipends according to regulations, and regulations clearly mention that stipend has to be paid monthly. Stipend has to be paid monthly regularly, and that too via bank account channel only. So if it is a late payment, that means what? I have violated the regulation. I violated the regulation. Which regulation? Regulation 48 requires payment to be made on monthly basis only. Clear? Then CAA borrowed money from a firm where article and his father was interested. Now this, yeah. So I'll tell you this, the background of this question. What happened here is what? Suppose I'm asking Shashi. I am asking Shashi that if you want to be my article, I will want your father to lend me some money. I know that your father is very, very rich. I know that. And if you want to do articleship under me, I want your father to lend me or you to lend me some money so that I can flourish my business more. So do you think this is an ethical practice? Right? So regulation clearly prohibits such sort of practice where you are employing an article on the basis of a conditional acceptance of an article assistant. But here, what does this question? Do you think I'll be held GPM where I borrowed money from a firm where article and his father was interested? So what happened? I borrowed money from suppose A Limited where my article where my article Sashi's father is executive director and holds 25% shareholding this A Limited, and I have borrowed money from here. Borrowed money from here. Do you think I'll be held GPM now?
No, sir.
Why?
Sir, there is no any direct connection which affects our engagement.
There is no any direct connection which affects our engagement.
Even although we are not even auditing the firm A Limited,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter, na?
No, even if you are auditing and this is within the limits of suppose 2 lakhs, that means within the limit of 5 lakhs, then you are auditing A Limited as well.
Then we might be held GPM.
Yes, tell me. What do you think? I told you one case where I employed the article on the condition that I'll be employing you only if your father lends me. In this question, do you think there is any sort of condition? No, I have employed the article already. The article is with me. I'm just now asking if his father could lend me, or his company in which his father or she is associated could lend me. This is not in relation to the employment of this article, right? Getting this or not? If the condition of this borrowing was with respect to directly linked with the employment of the article assistant, then in that case I will be held GPM. She was already working under me, right, as an article, and now just I asked. So you can see regulation 47 tells us what no amount shall be charged from or be payable by an article or any other person on his behalf directly or indirectly, whether by premium or by way of loan or by way of deposit in any other form, in connection with his engagement as an article. In connection with him engagement as an article. So if you are being engaged as an article, and for being engaging as so, you are providing the loan, you are giving deposits, or you are providing any sort of premium for being as an article in any firm, then in that case that principal will be LGPM under regulation 47. You can complain about the same. But this was not in connection with the engagement as an article, right? You were already my article. Are we clear? Now, CA firm of 3 partners took 190 tax audit assignments under section 44 AD. So, two things I have to tell you. Firstly, per partner, do you remember what is the limit for tax audit? Tax audit per partner limit is
60 tax audits.
60 tax
60 tax
audits.
audits, right? So, per partner 60 tax audit is allowed, and 3 partners are there. So, how much will be the limit? 180. Correct or not? So, you have accepted 190 tax audit under section 44 AD. Where do we perform for audit, tax audit? Under section 44 AB. 44 AD, suppose that clause 4, 44 AD subsection 4. Do you remember? Where for a period you have opted for presumptive taxation, and now that for next 5 years you have to opt for presumptive, but you fail to do so, then for another next 5 years from the year in which you fail to opt for, you will be now mandatorily be required to get your books audited, irrespective of your turnover. If your total income exceeds 2.5 lakh. So suppose you are getting your books audited because of section 44 AD, then what do you think? Here the firm will be held GPM, whether the CAs will be held GPM.
Yes, sir. He took 190 tax audits and the allowed limit is 180.
Yeah, but now the catch here is 180 tax audit limit is applicable on tax audits under section 44 AB, other than audits performed under section 44 AD or 44 AE or any sort of other section 44 ADA. Remember, there also we could perform audits, because if they are declaring lower income than presumptive, or declaring any sort of income which is not under prescribed section, presumptive income, declaring lower income than presumptive, then in that case those audits will not be counted in this tax audit, because those are already within the limits of 44 AD or 44 ADA. Suppose those are already within the limits of 44 AD or ADA, then that means those are smaller entities only. Those are entities which are within, let's suppose, 2 crores having turnover of 2 CR, for which the income tax also allows you to declare income on presumptive basis. But since they want to declare lower than presumptive income, therefore they are getting books of accounts audited. But as such, we are not burdened a lot, and therefore those audits are not required to be included in our computation of maximum limits permissible. Are we clear? So 180 audit you will see based on section 44AB. Other than 44AD, ADA, AE, all those section has to be excluded. Clear? Now article was attending college. So suppose Sony, you used to attend college during office hours. You were going for office also. You were coming to me for office, and during office you used to go to college, and I was also allowing you the same, that okay fine go, but please after office you will have to sit back late during the office. So CA pleaded that he was ignorant, and what I did was, when the complaint was filed against me, I told the institute that no, I don't know where the article is going. I told Sony to go to client place. Now if she is going to college, then what can I do? Or I just am becoming ignorant, or pleading that article was an outstation audit, or in an essence I am telling lie, that I was aware about the fact, but still I am ignoring the fact that during office hours article is attending college. In that case I will be held GP.
Yes, sir.
So clause 1, because of violation of guidelines of council and CA submitted false information. So we'll see clause 3 as well of part 2 just below this. Here also you will be held GPM. So we saw, what if we fail to submit information to the institute, if we fail to supply the information which was asked for, or which was called for by the ICI, by the regional councils, or by the director discipline, board of discipline, disciplinary committee, or by peer review board, quality review board, or by appellate authority, then do you remember where were we held GPM? Guilty. Where were we held guilty? Under which clause? Which part? Which schedule?
First schedule, part 3, and then the clause maybe 3 also.
Clause.
Clause
Can you remember now? Part 3, we recollected this clause number through this FCA, then one letter increase fail, and then one more letter increase false. So we failed to supply the information which was called for or asked for by the institute, or by the council, regional council, peer review board, quality review board, appellate authority, DD, BOD, DC. Then will be held GPM under schedule 1 part 3 clause 2. 3.2. Similarly, we supplied the information, but we supplied false information to the institute. I am talking about, to the same persons, to the same set of persons which we talked about in this clause. That means to the institute, council, DD, DC, BOD, appellate authority, quality review board. We supplied the information, but we supplied false information. Then vice versa. Here we were held guilty under 3.2, right? Part 3 clause 2. Here we will be held guilty under part 2 clause 3. 2.3. If you supply false information, we will be held guilty under clause 3 of part 2. 2.3. There 3.2, schedule 1 3.2, and here schedule 2 2.3. 2.3. You could just link that. If we fail to supply the information, then 3.2. If we supply the information but we are submitting false information to the institute, then we'll be held GPM under 2.3. Are we clear? And if you are supplying false information to write-up, while we are submitting write-up, or while we are responding to tenders, then where will be held GPM? Where will be held guilty? Under schedule?
Part 1, schedule 1 and clause 6.
Part 1, schedule 1, clause 6. If we are supplying false information while submitting all the tenders, or while advertising in a write-up, by way of write-up, we are supplying false information.
Sir, Sir, Schedule 1, Part 3 and Clause 3.
3 3, right?
Yeah.
So here you will be held GPM because CA provided false information, right? CA provided false information and also violated the provisions of the Chartered Accountants Act, regulations of the Chartered Accountant Act, right? That during office hour he need to ensure that his article is performing office duties, that is office hours, he is fulfilling his office hours only, right? Therefore, in this case, he will be held guilty under both clause 1 and clause 3 of part 2 of schedule 2. Now, other cases of misconduct which is being given by the institute and might be asked, say, so if you fail to forward the articles for registration as required, so articles are submitted with you the registration form 102 or 103, whatever be it, and now you fail to submit the same to the institute. So earlier the chartered accountant had to submit in the sense that they had to sign the same and has to be submitted by the articles only, but now it's the easy process to be done through SSP portal, right? Issued a certificate of consumption on a date when he had not even applied for COP. So what you did, you had not applied for certificate of practice, but you have issued a certificate. So this is in violation of section 6, as far as I remember, that even if you are not having a COP, but you are showing it to the world as you are a certified practicing chartered accountant and you are issuing the certificates, then you will be held guilty because you are violating sections of the Chartered Accountants Act, provisions of the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. And now CAP agreed to take a person as an articled clerk in a vacancy. Audit clerk came to know from the institute that the deed of articles was not registered as that was forwarded with a request for entertaining an extra articled clerk. Are you getting this? I did what? Suppose I told Nikita that yes, you can be my article, and Nikita submitted all the registration forms and everything with me. I signed the same and gave the copy to the Nikita. I gave copy to Nikita, and now that I have not submitted the same to the institute, 1 year has passed, 2 years has passed. Nikita is now appearing for CA final examination, and she got one letter from the institute that you have not completed, you have not even started your articleship, so you cannot give your final examination. So I'll be held GPM. Now, clause 2 is with respect to when you are a employee chartered accountant. Clause 2 of part 2 of schedule 2. 222. 222. So again, do you remember tax audit clause 22? Do you remember tax audit form 3CD clause 2222? 22.
Interest inadmissible under 23 of MSME Act.
Right. So I told you how can we retain that clause number is what? 222. You will not repay me the amount. So I'll charge you the interest. Interest on MSMED Act under section 23 of MSMED Act. 2 interest नहीं पटाएगा मेरे को. Similarly here 222 मेरी confidential information disclose मत करना. Please do not disclose my confidential information. 222, please do not disclose my confidential information. So being an employee of any company, firm or person, you are disclosing confidential information acquired in the course of his employment, except as and when required by any law for the time being in force, or except as permitted by the employer only. By your employer if he is permitting you to do so, or under any regulation or under any act by way of law you are required to do so, then it is allowed. Else you will be held GPM under schedule 2 part 2 clause 2. 222. Clause 3 we have done with. Clause 4, if you are defalcating or embezzling any money received in your professional capacity. So you received any money in your professional capacity and now you are defalcating the same or embezzling the same. Lastly, part 3 also we have done. Just go through this. Then we'll start with Council General Guidelines. Any doubt in any clause, in any part, in any schedules? We have completed, we are done with schedule, both the schedules, schedule 1 and schedule 2, the major part of this chapter, with questions. Most of the questions, 90% of the questions also we have covered. If you want, you can practice even more with your question bank, with the compiler, or with any sort of underlying questions that you might be having. So now quickly come to CCG 2008, Council General Guidelines. Council General Guidelines 2008. So they bifurcated this into various chapters. If possible, if at all you try, then try to recollect the chapter numbers as well. Anyway, if not possible, then also it's okay. So Council General Guidelines 2008. First of all, first chapter 2, conduct of a member. Being an employee, you are not performing your duty with due diligence, or you are performing your duties with grossly negligent. Then where you held GPM as an employee? You will be held GPM under which clause of schedule of part? Just now
Clause
today only we did.
7.
Clause 7 of part
Part 1. Schedule.
2. This you are saying?
Yes.
This part 1 of schedule 2 is applied to which chartered accountants?
Same practice.
So here we are talking about employee chartered accountants, right? Employee chartered
Okay.
accountants, if they are grossly negligent in performing their duties, not performing with due diligence, then they will be held GPM under which clause? Yes, anyone? Just today only we did.
So part 2, clause 1, second schedule.
Right. Schedule 2, part 2, clause 1. Schedule 2, part 2, clause 1. What does it say?
It does not comply. If
With
he
the
does not comply the
provisions of Chartered Accountant
regulation
Act
provisions, yes, regulations,
or guidelines, any guidelines issued by the
guidelines.
council. So this guideline is being issued by the council. If you fail to comply the same, then you will be held GPM where? Under Schedule 2, Part 2, Clause 1. Yes, everyone, please. If at all is there any doubt, then just ask me in the class directly. Are you all getting or not? Yes, Kripali, Nikita, Dhanlakshmi. All are sleeping or what? Hmm? Are we clear with this first chapter 2? Chapter 2 deals with what? If you are an employee chartered accountant, you are not complying with or not performing your duties with grossly negligency or with due diligence, then you will be at GPM. Chapter 5 tells you to maintenance of books of account. Maintenance of books of account. So this question came actually. So Moti in practice, or the firm of chartered accountants of which he is a partner, they have to maintain and keep in respect of their professional practice proper books of accounts, and which should definitely, if not other books, but definitely include cash book and a ledger. Cash book and a ledger has to be included. So this question actually came in November 2022 as well. And their institute also mentioned chapter 5, and that is why I was telling you all to, if possible, try to remember chapter numbers as well. In between whatever chapters it's not there, it's not that I have not included in the book. They are not no more relevant. Okay. So chapter 5, see the question. Mr. P, a chartered accountant, did not maintain books of accounts for the professional work on the ground that income is assessed under section 44 AD of the Income Tax Act. So he is telling what, that I am opting for presumptive taxation, and you know that if you are opting for presumptive taxation, you need not get your books of accounts audited. You are not required to get your books of accounts audited, and therefore in that case you may not prepare your books of account. You may not prepare your books of account. So he's telling that we are not required to prepare books of account or get our books audited, and therefore in that case we are not preparing any sort of books. Comment with reference to CA Act 1949 and schedules thereto. So chapter 5 requires you to mandatorily, with respect to your professional practice, you have to maintain and keep cash book and a ledger, if not other books. Clear? So this was come for 4 marks question. And here I have also mentioned that ICA mentioned chapter 5 as well. So we should try to learn the chapter numbers as well.
Sir,
Yeah.
profession is just regarding CA, no? Or
Sorry, come again.
the word is used, it's professional practice.
Yeah.
It's just regarding the CA, no? Not other professions, no?
Yeah, as a chartered accountant in practice, you will be practicing this only, na? CA practicing only, na? You will be practicing chartered accountancy only as a moti in practice. Now come to chapter 6, tax audit assignments. Chapter 6, tax audit assignment under section 44 AB of the Income Tax Act 1961. So you already know what is the specified number of tax audit assignment that is being allowed is 60 per partner of the firm, right? 60 per partner of the firm. And suppose I am asking you one question, there are 5 partners. There are 5 partners in a firm. So how much will be the limit? A, B, C, D, E are the 5 partners. How much will be the limit?
300.
300. Right? So Krupali, tell me, can only A audit all the 300 audits under the firm name of ABCDE and company LLP? Can all the audits, entire 300 audits, be done by A only?
No.
No, yes.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. But the answer is yes. In the case of tax audit, it is allowed for a single partner to consume all the limits, entire limits of its other partners as well. Whatever limits the partner must be having. Suppose E is also a partner in another firm. Suppose E is also partner in another firm, EXY Limited. EXY, sorry, not limited, but EXY and Company LLP. He is also partner in another firm, and he has already utilized his 20 audit limits. 20 audit limits in that firm. And therefore, in this firm, we will be having in total 30 minus 20, that is 280 audit limits. And this 280 audits entirely can be done by a single partner, can be signed by a single partner in the firm name, of course in the name of firm, can be signed by a single partner also, only allowed in the case of tax audits. Similarly, you must be aware about the company audit limits. How much is the company audit?
20, sir.
20 per partner, right? Is according to section 141 subsection 3.
Assessment, हाँ.
Section 141 subsection 3, the limit is 20 per partner. However, the limit is 30 in professional ethics, and the exclusion list is different. That we'll see later. But anyway, what I wanted to convey was with respect to this 20 audit limits. 20 audit limits. Now suppose, how much is the company audit, total number of company audits that you can do in this firm? 100, right? According to Companies Act, you can do 100 audits. Yes or no? Now, can A do the entire 100 audits under the firm name? No. Can he do so under the name of firm entirely? Can 100 audits be done by A? No. No,
No.
only in tax audit it is allowed. Clear, Kripali?
So,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
so doing the audit and signing the audit report are same. It may not be possible like doing the audit by some partner and signing by another partner.
So see, whenever you are like, if you are doing the audit and you want me to sign the audit, then I will
Yeah,
be
if,
held
if, both
responsible.
are,
What?
if both are partners,
Yeah.
then
If both are partners, then anyone will be signing the audit, right? Auditing
yeah,
partner, anyone will be the engagement partner for the audit. Suppose you were
yeah,
the partner, you did the entire audit, but on fine day you met with some sort of incident, accident, or any sort of event happened, and you are not able to sign. Then you will ask another partner firm to sign. Then that partner will also have to examine, because what we saw that without examination, you have to examine, and particularly SQC1 also requires you to, that whenever you are signing, you need to aware about each and every fact about the audit that you are signing for.
okay,
So
sir.
even I have to sign and I will be held responsible, doesn't matter you did the audit or not. I am signing, I'll have to examine the entire facts in summarizing everything, that you have reviewed it or not. I have reviewed, I have to review everything, whether documentation, all the documentation I have to go through, all the documentation have been done as per SA 230, SQC1 followed, engagement partner was independent, I was independent, and all the audit staffs other than the engagement partner were independent, everything. So in this case also, even single firm tax auditor, entire all the tax audits can be signed by A, but not the case with other audits, that is other statutory audits. Every partner has to perform on their part, that means has to satisfy their limits individually. Clear? You can see here, in the case of a partner of a firm is also partner of another firm, the number of tax audit assignment in relation to such partner shall not exceed the, okay, that is nothing that much is relevant. Yeah, this is relevant. Head office and branch office, what do you think? Audit on the tax audit, or you can you tell me in the income tax act whether branch is a separate person? Is my branch a separate person? No. Yes, right? Branch will also come under same pen, right? Therefore, audit of at head office and branch office, one tax audit only goes. Tax audit report only one is prepared. And therefore, if you are performing head office tax audit, and similarly if you are performing branch office tax audit, this will be regarded as one tax audit assignment only for the purpose of computation of limit of 60 tax audit per partner. Clear? And if you are a part-time practicing partner, then you will not be included in our partners list for the purpose of calculation of total limit of the firm. So suppose in ABCDE, C was a part-time practicing member, then what will be my limit? 60 into 4 only. 60 into 4. Part-time practicing member will not be included in other partners list for purpose of calculation of the limit. So you can see the note here, in tax audit, single partner can sign all the audit reports for the entire firm. Now this you already know, chapter 7, auditor appointment in the case of non-payment of undisputed audit fee. So quickly tell me, Nikita, what we learned here. In the case of non-payment of undisputed audit fee, what are we required to, what are we supposed to do then? Nikita,
Does not accept the engagement.
we cannot accept the audit, right? In the case of non-payment of undisputed audit fee of our brother, of our another chartered accountant. So what was undisputed audit fee? What do you mean by undisputed, Nikita?
Which was signed by the director and even the auditor.
Right. So auditor also gave the audit report on those set of financial statement which the director signed. And the audit fee, whatever it is mentioned in that financial statement, that audit fee will be called as undisputed audit fee and have to be paid by the client to the auditor before I can accept the audit. If accepted, I'll be held GPM. Exception, Nikita, what was the exception? Do you remember?
When the audit, yes, when the auditor thinks the previous auditor was, um, it was not justified by the previous
No,
auditor
that
for
was the
qualifying the
exception
report.
for qualification. I am asking exception for non-payment of audit fees, even if it is not paid, undisputed audit fee, even if it is not paid, still allowed.
So in case of SEC units.
Units.
In case of SIC units, right? In the case of SIC units. Now similarly, chapter 8 deals with what? Specified number of company audit assignments. And here you know is 20 per partner is the limit in the case of Companies Act. But however, here I told you is what? The limit is 30 audit assignments. So do you recall in this 20 calculation, which all companies we do not include while calculating? What all companies we do not include?
1% company, small company, private company having turnover less than 50 crore.
And dormant company.
So yeah, all three were right except private company part. Dormant company, 1% company, small company, private company having paid up share capital less than 100 CR. Private company having paid up share capital of 100 crores or less. So these four companies you will exclude from your calculation, right? Now here you will see 30 audit assignments. What all companies has to be excluded, with the exception of OPC and DC, 1% company and dormant company. That means what? Small company and private company having paid up share capital less than 100 crore will be included in the case of these 30 tax audit assignments. So till now the question hasn't been asked from this part. This is new. This was new for like 4 or 5 attempts before they have inserted this, and this was new and they haven't asked the question, but they can ask you the question and you will have to answer accordingly, in accordance with both Companies Act as well as professional ethics. So just to give you an example, suppose I accepted 8 audits of private company having paid up share capital of less than 100 crore. Paid up share capital less than 100 CR. ठीक है? 4 small companies, 19, or you can say 20 companies, 20 you can say is public companies, 20 public companies and 4 dormant companies. So tell me, where am I violating Companies Act provision section
No,
number 2
sir.
subsection 3? Am I violating? No,
No.
because this will not be included, this will not be included, this will not be included. But am I violating provisions of this professional ethics chapter 8?
No, sir. The limit is now 28, and in professional ethics, the limit is 30.
The limit is 30, but am I breaching the limit of 30?
No, because 20 is the public company and the 8 is private company. Small company and dormant company are excluded.
Small company is excluded or 1% company is excluded?
Dormant 1%. Dormant and 1%. Yes, sir.
So am I breaching the limit of 30?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So here I will be held GPM under clause 1 of part 2 of schedule 2, 221, because I am not fulfilling guideline. Chapter 7, chapter 8. Yeah.
Sir, practical means with 20 audit assignments we should accept or 30. Professional ethics कुछ बोलता है, Companies Act कुछ और बोलता है.
So you will be accepting these audit assignments of public companies first, then you will be accepting this other audits of say private companies. Now that you have only 2 audits left as per professional ethics, then you cannot accept these 4 small company
पर
audits.
Companies Act के according तो limit cross हो गई ना 20 companies की.
No, Companies Act के according कहाँ limit cross हुई?
20
These audits will not be included na in the calculation of Companies Act. These 3 audits will not be included. Dormant company, small company, private company having paid up share capital less than 100 crore. This will not be included na. So only 20 is the limit. वो कहाँ breach हुई है? कंपनीज एक्ट के हिसाब से तुमने 20 एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स के हिसाब से 30 तक करना चाहिए था, तुमने 32 एक्सेप्ट कर लिया एज पर कैलकुलेशन अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स। यस सागर।
प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स के हिसाब से मतलब पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल अगर मैटर नहीं करता है ना कि वो 100 सीआर से कम हो या ज्यादा हो,
हाँ,
वो फिर भी
प्राइवेट
काउंट
कंपनी
होगा
का
ना।
ऑडिट एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हो तो यू विल हैव टू इंक्लूड इट इन योर कैलकुलेशन।
और कंपनीज एक्ट में अगर वो 100 सीआर से ज्यादा है तो ही इंक्लूड होगा।
हाँ, प्राइवेट कंपनी की ऑडिट।
ओके सर।
सो स्मॉल कंपनी की डेफिनेशन चेंज हुई है, डू यू रिमेंबर? देयर इज अ चेंज इन डेफिनेशन ऑफ स्मॉल कंपनी। व्हाट इज द न्यू डेफिनेशन नाउ? $440 पेड अप शेयर कैपिटल 4, टर्नओवर 40। Sorry, 40 400, sorry, when I got confused. Second. Small company means a company other than public company whose paid up share capital is less than equal to 4 crore and turnover is as per immediately preceding financial year less than equal to 40 crore, 440। ठीक है? Earlier it was 220। Yes, now. So this you can read. It is more or less same like tax audit assignments. Part-time practicing member not to be considered for counting the limit. Chartered account practice shall maintain a record of all the audit assignments that you are accepting. The number of partners, when you will see this limit, that means the limit according to your firm. Suppose your firm is having 5 partners or 6 partners. So when you will see the actual number of partners, the number of partners of a firm on the date of acceptance of audit assignment shall be taken into account. Suppose you accepted the audit and later on you increase the number of auditing partners, then those partners will not suffice to increase your limits for acceptance of that audit. Getting this? You have to see when accepting the audit, before acceptance of the audit assignment. Again, one or more branches of the same company by one C or CA firm in practice in which he is a partner shall be construed as one audit assignment only. Head office, branch office, one audit, single audit. Now come to next chapter, chapter 9, appointment as statutory auditor. This is also important. So in this case of public sector undertaking, or in the case of government company, or in the case of listed company, or any other public company having turnover more than 50 crore, more than equal to 50 crore. So in the case of these 4 companies, you need to be wary of the fact that your remuneration shall not exceed total fee that you are receiving from statutory audit service. That means any work, any other work, or any other assignment or service in regard to the same undertaking or company. That means that any other assignment that you are providing to the company apart from statutory audit, then for providing of that service of which you are also providing audit, the fee should not be more than what you have been asking for statutory audit. So suppose statutory audit fees is 5 lakhs, therefore in that case no other work fees shall exceed 5 lakhs. No other work shall exceed 5 lakhs. Anyway, Companies Act bars you, prohibits you to perform any other activities under Section 144 of the Companies Act to perform any sort of management consultancy service or any providing or specified services, investment banking services, bookkeeping services, actuarial services, in designing services or whatever be it. Already Section 144 prohibits, but still if it is out of those prohibitions purview, and if you are being allowed to, then you need to be aware about the fact that the fee from those service shall not exceed statutory audit fees. However, these work that we are talking about will not be included. All these three works will not be included while we are seeing the above provision. That means, suppose you are doing under any other statute any audit, example tax audit, then tax audit fee can be more than the statutory audit fee, because this work is not included in above work what we are talking about. Similarly, certification work required to be done by the statutory auditor, so this certification can be, the fees can be more than the statutory audit. And lastly, any representation before any authority. So income tax case also you are filing, income tax case also you are fighting the same, then in that case also you can charge for fees more than the audit fee, more than your statutory audit fee. So this says as work service assignment includes management consultancy and all other professional services permitted by the council, but shall not include, this work shall not include. So in these three cases you can charge more fee. Clear? Chapter 10 I have already told you, just go through that. The limit is for limits which is fixed in the statute, fixed in the statute. Either it is fixed in the statute, and in other cases where it is not told you about the same by the statute, then it will be what? 1 lakh. Limit for indebtedness, if it is specifically given under the statute, then you will take that limit. If not given, then 1 lakh.
Sir, under this act, is the also the CA is allowed to also the CA is allowed to indebted to the company under 1 lakh?
No, I told you na, the limit which is specified by statute. So statute, Company Act, statute is here what? Company Act for the companies. Company clearly specifies the limit of 5 lakh. Therefore, you won't see 1 lakh, you will see 5 lakh. So, okay, fine. We'll just take an example. Let's say indebted to company, statutory audit, indebted to company for rupees 5 lakh. Okay? And you are doing what? Company audit only. Indebted to company 3 lakh. You are doing tax audit. Indebted to partnership firm, you are doing tax audit. Now tell me, first case, in case 1, can we do company audit? We are indebted to the company for 5 lakh rupees. We want to do the company audit. Are we allowed to do so?
You said it's not exceeding 5 lakh, no?
Right? We are allowed to do so. Indebted to the company. Again, we are indebted to another company of for rupees 3 lakh. Can we do the tax audit of that company?
No, sir. It's exceeding
No,
the limit of 1 lakh.
exceeding of 1 lakh.
Can we do the tax audit of the company again?
Yes.
No.
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 So we
No, then
can
why
do
no?
If the limit of 1 lakh has been exceeded.
They
What is
should
the
not be
limit for
indebted
tax audit?
to the
company, we
company.
There is
check
no
as per the Companies Act.
Limit will be 5 lakh only, na? According to tax audit, income tax act, the auditor, in the case of a company, the limit will be according to Companies Act. Do you remember or not? Qualification, disqualification for you to become a tax auditor. In the case of a company assessee, you will see section 141 subsection 3. In the case of an assessee being other than company, then the limits will see. And there the limit is 0. And there also you are
yes.
saying wrong. You are giving wrong reference of 1 lakh. If you are seeing tax audit, the limit is 000. Why are you saying 1 lakh? The limit is 0, not 1 lakh. Even if this is a firm, you would have then accepted this tax audit. No, the limit is 0, not 1 lakh. The limit is specified under Income Tax Act. Limit is fixed in the statute. 0 limit. Here, in case of LLP, I told you if at all there is no limit specified in LLP Act. And now you have been indebted for 10,000. No limit fixed in the statute. Then you will see what? 1 lakh limit. Are we clear now? So this audit will be allowed. This will be allowed. This will be allowed. But indebtedness to firm, this will not be allowed. Because here we cannot be indebted even for a single rupee, single penny we cannot be indebted. You won't have to see 1 lakh limit. Yes. Bolo bolo bolo. Clear?
So I want to write down it, please.
Chale. Chapter 11, direction in case of unjustified removal of auditor. So what will you do if someone unjustifiedly remove your brother? We will try not to accept the audit, right? Or to follow the directions or follow the direction as may be given by the council. For Udin, there is a guideline being issued, but that is now no more much relevant. So Udin already you might have also worked on this, correct? Now comes important guideline with respect to networking. Guidelines for networking. This is important. MCQ can come or even a 4-mark question can come. So you must be aware about this network firms. Network firms, for example, BSR and Company LLP. BSR and Company LLP is a network firm of KPMG. Similarly, there are so many network firms which is associated with TR Chadda and Company LLP. TR Chadda and Company LLP. So why does we create a network firms? So as to minimize our cost, reduce our cost, share our ideas, benefits. So everything can be shared. In an essence, could do a work on large scale, right? We could do work on large scale, and therefore we try to compile all the firms. We try to get associated with other firms and come under one roof and try to minimize our cost and increase our profit, or thereby sharing of work and sharing of cost. Sharing of work and sharing of cost, you could say. For this purpose, we create a network. But again, the exception is if you are creating a network for a minuscule nature or not a not that, but suppose if you are trying to share a cost which is not a significant cost. Suppose I am just trying to train my article assistant about the new income tax new accounting software that is to be implemented by all the companies, right? I told you about the audit trail. Audit trail, it has to be implemented from 1st April 2023, already implemented. And now I want to train about my staff all about this. And now I'm also asking other firms of chartered accountant, just neighboring firms of chartered accountant or other my associated CA firms, that yes, if they could also participate in this training and could also share the trainer's fee. Trainer's fee is 1 lakh, and if we 5 firms could arrange for all our articles, the fees per firm would be 20,000 instead of me bearing 1 lakh. Now this is a very insignificant fee, which we will not call it as a networking. We will not call this as network firm, that we are now all a network firm. No, this won't be called as a network firm. Sharing of insignificant costs. So let's see where the larger structure is aimed at cooperation and is aimed at profit or cost sharing among the entities within a structure, that is creating a structure, it is deemed to be a network. However, sharing of immaterial cost does not itself create a network. Just now I told you an example, sharing of immaterial cost. In addition, if the sharing of cost is limited only to those costs related to the development of audit methodologies, audit tools, suppose I want to develop an audit software, so I bring along with me other firms so that they can also share the same software with me. So audit methodologies, audit manuals, or training courses, this would not in itself create a network. This won't be creating a network unless we are trying to share each and every cost, share each and every thing. Further, an association between a firm and an otherwise unrelated entity to jointly provide a service or develop a product does not in itself create a network. So we are creating a product jointly, then that also won't be a network firm. So everything you do for a period or so, or for one time purpose, or is of a minuscule nature or immaterial, you could say just probably immaterial, then that would lead to a creation of a network. But however, this will be deemed to be a network if you are cooperating and the entities within the structure are sharing what? Common ownership, control, management. That means ABC and here ABD. So AB and AB are managing, owner, control in both these firms. So these both firms will be deemed to be under same network. Similarly, common quality control, policies, procedures, common business strategy, same business strategy you are following, use of a common brand name, correct? Significant part of professional resources you are sharing. That means all the professional resources that you are sharing the significant part of that professional services, not immaterial, significant now. And professional resources here will include what? For training or for any sort of sharing of cost. So here if all the conditions are suppose satisfying, then you will be considered a network firm. If not all, but most of the conditions are satisfying and you want to apply to the institute as a network firm, then you can do so. And even if you don't apply, then many of these conditions are satisfying, then you can be a deemed network firm. All this sharing you are doing, and these are forming significant part. Suppose audit methodology, audit manuals, training courses, facilities, all these form part a significant part of your professional resources. Along with this, you are sharing all the business strategy, brand name, common brand name, quality control policies and procedures, right? Then you will be deemed to be a networking firm. Any doubt till now? Yes, Avija, Pooja. So now let's come to different forms of network. Different forms of network. So what all forms of network can be? This can be a mutual entity which acts as a facilitator of the constitutes of the network. So mutual entity created by all the other firms. Similarly, it can be a partnership firm in the form of partnership firm. It can be in the form of LLP. Just now I told you an example. TR Chadda and Company LLP. If you can go, it's a Delhi-based firm. Top 20 firms of India, LLP. TR Chadda and Company. TR Chadda and Co LLP. It could be an LLP. It could be even a company like our Big Four. Could even be in the form of companies, subject to guidelines prescribed by the institute for the corporate form of practice. However, all the firms here in this network should fulfill the guideline that we studied. Remember, with respect to corporate form of practice, that means you will be providing what? You'll be providing with management consultancy service. You will not be attesting. You will not be doing audit attestation services through this firm. Clear? Similarly, network firm can be also consist of sole proprietor, can be a part of the network. Similarly, partnership firms can be part of the network, or any such entity of professional accountant as may be permitted by the Chartered Accountants Act. So professional partnership firms or proprietorship firm or LLP firms, all these can be partners. Even LLPs can be, not partners, can be associated with the networks. Yes. Now these 2 points are very, very important. Even MCQ have come in exam as far as I remember. A firm is allowed to join only one network. So if you are a partnership firm, if you are already associated yourself with TR Chadda & Co LLP, you cannot allow yourself to be associated with another network. You cannot allow yourself to be associated with more than one network firm. First important point. Secondly, firms having common partners shall join only one network. That means what? Suppose again, ABC and ABX, common partners AB, right? Now both this firm have to join single network only, one single network firm only. It cannot be like ABC is joining another network firm and ABX is joining another network firm. This cannot be the case. If there are two firms having common partner, both the firms have to join a same network. Both the firms have to join the same network. Any doubt in last 2 points? Very important. Firm is allowed to join only one network, and then in the case of common ownership, common partners, both the firms have to join one network firm only. Both the partners have to both the firms have to join one network. So let's quickly now finish off with the procedural parts of this networking guidelines. So procedural parts, first 2-3 points are important. You have to be now having a distinct name for your network. Distinct name for your network, and it should end with and affiliates. And affiliate. It cannot be ending with and co. That means and co or and associates. These are reserved for partnership firms, or these are reserved for practicing chartered accountants firm name, practicing firm name. So I can have my name as Chandak and Co, Chandak and Associates, Yash Chandak and Company, Yash Chandak and Company, Yash Chandak and Co, or Yash Chandak and Associates. All these are options which has been given by the institute to you when you apply for your firm name. So therefore, these names should not be used when you are applying for networking firm name. That means what? When you're applying for a name for your network firm, then it has to be end with what? And affiliates. And affiliates. It cannot end with and co or and associates. Are we clear? Now then, when you have thought of your name, then you have to apply it in form A. Apply it in form A. A for application. Form A for application. Okay? Apply in form A for application. However, once your form has got approved by the institute, it is not that your network firm is registered now. It is not that once your name is approved, it is not like your network is registered with the institute. Now, after the approval of the name, it has to be, after approval, institute shall reserve this name for 3 months. For 3 months. So within the span of 3 months, you have to apply and get yourself registered. Get yourself registered with the institute as a network. Clear? So institute can either accept or reject within 30 days of filing Form A, that whether your name is accepted or not. And after acceptance of your name, you have to get yourself registered as a network firm with the institute within a span of 90 days. Else after 90 days, this name can be given to another. This name could be given to other network firm, whoever is applying. Clear? Now listing of network with entities outside India. Now suppose you want to list in your network firm also the other firms which are practicing outside India. Can you do so? Yes, you can do, but you have to file a declaration with the institute in Form D for listing within 30 days from the date of entering into the networking arrangement. That means what? Suppose our network, we already have A Limited, A and Company, B and Associates, many other CA firms, right? And now one firm from Dubai is trying to enter into our networking firm, and we are allowing the same. And so within the date of entering into networking arrangement, within 30 days, I have to inform to the institute in Form D. Form D. D for
Declaration.
the declaration we have to file in other places also, but D here can be your Desi Videshi network with entities outside India, right? So you can file a declaration that one Videshi firm is also trying to come with us. Now, change in constitution of registered network, whenever there is some certain changes in the constitution, suppose A and Company is leaving from the network and another firm H and Company is entering into arrangement, or any sort of any change in constitution in the networking firm, then you have to file Form C, declare it in Form C within 30 days from the date of change in constitution. C for change in constitution, constitutional change in networking firm. So what is now left? Form
B.
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 So Form B, you will get yourself registered with the institute in Form B. That I told you, right? Within 3 months, you have to get yourself registered after application of your name approval. You have to get yourself registered with the institute. So this application of registration, you will file it in Form B. So do you think this B, do you think if from this B, if I remove this thing, it seems to be a 3. B can be seen as 3 also, right? So you can learn it like Form B 3 months. Within 3 months, you have to apply for registration. Also, B, if I remove this, then it also looks like R, registration. So Form B registration within 3 months. Form B registration has to be applied within 3 months.
3 months.
These are all the procedural parts that you need to be aware about. Might be asked to you in MCQ cases. Approval in Form A. Within 30 days, institute will either accept or reject your firm name approval, network name approval. After acceptance of the name approval, we need to within 3 months file Form B with the institute to get our network registered with the institute, right? Then Form C for change in constitution of the networking firm within 30 days, right? And then lastly, Form D also within 30 days. D for if any Desi Videshi firm is trying to enter into our networking arrangement. Now again, if at all you are forming a network, then there has to be an ethical compliances. Many of the ethical compliances has to be followed in the case of network firms. As far as Companies Act, I expect you to remember one point with respect to network firms. Do you remember section 139 subsection 2, rotation of auditors? So a firm of chartered accountant can have maximum tenure of
5 years in case of individual.
2 consecutive tenure of 5 years. 2 consecutive tenure of 5 years in the case of a firm, right? So once they are to be rotated. So do you think if another firm belonging to my network firm, I am getting rotated now, another firm which is belonging to the same network of which I belong to can be appointed? Are you getting the question? A, if I suppose my company Chandak and Associates is also a part of the network, is also part of C and A and B and affiliates, and another firm, suppose Sony and Company is also a network firm of this, is also part of this network firm. Can Sony now be appointed as an auditor after me getting rotated?
No, sir.
No, right? Do you remember there were rules, company audit of accounts rules Audit and Auditors Rules 2014, where they specified that no, Rule 3 clearly specified that in the case of rotation, network firms are also not allowed to become auditor. That we'll also see. So similarly, there are certain ethical compliances that needs to be done when you form part of a network. So first is with respect to the one firm of network is the statutory auditor of an entity, the associate including the network firms or the said firm directly indirectly shall not accept the internal audit or bookkeeping or such other professional assignments. That means if I am the auditor of the company, then Sony cannot accept the internal audit, bookkeeping services or such other sort of services which is prohibited under section 144 of the Companies Act. If I cannot accept, my network firm also cannot accept. These are certain ethical compliances which needs to be followed. Clear? Similarly, the guidelines of ceiling of non-audit fee. Just now we saw a ceiling on non-audit fee. What was the ceiling? Ceiling, maximum limit for non-audit services fees. How much was it? Dhanlakshmi. Dhanlakshmi, non-audit fee. We saw if you are providing services other than auditing services, then how much maximum fee can you pay for that service?
Say not more than audit fee.
Shall not exceed statutory audit fee.
It
Statutory
cannot
audit fee.
exceed statutory audit fee, right? So similarly, in the case of a networking firm, for a network firm who is doing statutory audit, suppose I am doing the audit, Chandak and Associates is doing the audit, and suppose in Sony and Associates, there is no common partner. There is no firms having common partner. But suppose another firm where Dhanlakshmi and Chandak, Dhanlakshmi Chandak and Co is another firm. Now the firm which was doing audit was Chandak and Associates, and another firm which is having a common partner of Chandak, right? Having a common partner, Yash Chandak, right? So here those network firms which is an associated concern or firms having common partnership. Associated concern or firms having common partnership, in that case the ceiling on non-audit fee will be the same. How much was it? It should not exceed statutory audit limit. So for that purpose, for a networking firm who is performing another service other than audit service, auditing I am doing, right? Auditing Chandak and Associate is doing, and Dhanlakshmi Chandak and Company wants to provide another service. The ceiling will be how much? Statutory audit fee which I am charging, which Chandak and Associates is charging. However, suppose now Chandak and Associate is a firm and Sony and Associate is a firm where there is no common partner. However, we all belong to same networking firm. Then point 2 says what? For other firms at same network collectively. For other firms will be what? Sony and Associate. Other than the firms where common partners are there, associated partners are there. Other than those firms, if at all there is a firm which is also linked to a same network, then in that case it shall be 3 times the fee payable. That means what? Sony and chartered accountants can accept, if suppose statutory audit was 5 lakhs, then Dhanlakshmi and Chandak can max accept 5 lakhs for non-audit services. But Sony and company can accept 15 lakhs. 3 times the audit fee. Are we getting this? Any doubt in these 2 points? I can explain again. Just read that once again. Is there any doubt? Network firm who is doing statutory audit including associated concern or firms having common partnership, it shall be the same as mentioned in the above notification. That means not exceeding statutory audit limit, statutory audit fees. However, for other firms at the same network collectively, other firms, that means other than above, then it shall be 3 times of the fee payable for carrying out the statutory audit of the same undertaking or the company. Clear?
सर अदर फर्म्स का मतलब नहीं समझ आया, मतलब कौन से
अदर
केसेस
फर्म्स
में?
मतलब जैसे एक फर्म हो गया अपना चांडक एंड सागर, राइट? चांडक सागर एंड कंपनी, ये अपनी एक फर्म है. एक और फर्म है अपने, मैंने बताया चांडक धनलक्ष्मी एंड कंपनी, राइट? चांडक धनलक्ष्मी एंड कंपनी. और एक और फर्म है निकिता सोनी एंड कंपनी. सो ये जो 2 फर्म है, ये तीनों ही फर्म सेम नेटवर्क को बिलोंग कर रही है. ऑल द 3 फर्म्स बिलोंग टू द सेम नेटवर्क. हाउएवर these 2 network firms are closely associated, or you can say are having common partners. Associated concerns or firms having common partners. and therefore they are deemed to be of same network. And in that case वहां पे ये वाली फर्म अपन फर्स्ट पॉइंट में ये फर्म की बात कर रहा हूं मैं, चांडक धनलक्ष्मी एंड कंपनी, बिकॉज चांडक आई एम पार्टनर ऑल्सो इन चांडक सागर एंड कंपनी एंड ऑल्सो पार्टनर इन चांडक धनलक्ष्मी एंड कंपनी. And similarly, in one case, Nikita Soni and company would fall into other firms other than common partner firm. ठीक है सागर?
हाँ ओके सर.
So in networking firm, the two firms belongs to same network. Why we allowed the three times? Like if we have the common partners, we allowed the audit fee does not exceed the uh, what you say like ऑडिट फी से ज़्यादा या उससे ज़्यादा नहीं होगी, लेकिन इसमें जो 3 टाइम्स अलाउ किया है वो ऐसा क्यों किया है? क्योंकि वो भी तो सेम नेटवर्क को बिलोंग कर रहे हैं, तो ये एक कॉमन ही हुए ना एक तरह से.
कॉमन हुए बट कॉमन पार्टनर्स अगर हो जाते तो काइंड ऑफ यू कैन से इज द सेम फर्म ओनली. जब कॉमन पार्टनर्स हो गए तो मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि चांडक सागर एंड कंपनी एंड चांडक धनलक्ष्मी एंड कंपनी दोनों एक ही फर्म बोल लूंगा, मैं बोल सकता हूँ एसोसिएटेड फर्म्स. और आई कैन से इसकी ऑडिट कभी इधर होती है तो कभी इधर भी हो जाती है, ट्रांसफर हो सकती है कॉमन पार्टनर से, क्योंकि आई एम देयर प्रेजेंट. सो द सेम लिमिट विच वी सॉ इज फॉर दी फर्म एक ही फर्म के लिए जो लिमिट थी कि अगर तुम वो सब कंपनी की ऑडिट कर रहे हो, PSU लिस्टेड कंपनी, पब्लिक कंपनी हैविंग टर्नओवर मोर देन 500 CR 50 CR सॉरी, मोर देन 50 CR, तो उस केस में क्या था, वही फर्म अगर नॉन ऑडिट सर्विस प्रोवाइड कर रही है तो स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट से ज्यादा नहीं हो सकती. सिमिलरली अगर वही फर्म नहीं कर रही है लेकिन ऐसी फर्म कर रही है जहाँ पे सेम पार्टनर, देन दैट ऑल्सो इज deemed to be sort of same firm only in this assumed to be by the institute. But in case of networking firms, again there is a limit imposed by the institute. It's not like they have not imposed the limit at all. They have imposed the limit but not the limit which they tried to impose on the firm, on the firm, same firm. So these are kind of deemed to be the same firm, but another network firm you can say is belonging, or you can say is a networking firm, network firm, and for that the limit will be 3x.
सर ये 3x जो होगा ये हमारा ऑडिट स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट वाला होगा.
हाँ हाँ 3x of statutory audit fee.
ओके.
3 times of the fee payable for carrying out the statutory audit. It's written 3 times for the fee payable for carrying out the statutory audit of the same undertaking or the same company. Now come to chapter 8. एक second. दस 15 मिनट. So I'll tell you again. Networking guidelines is an important, very very important. So larger structure, if it aimed at cooperation or profit or cost sharing, then it will be called as networking, or you will be deemed to be in the same network. However, if you are sharing immaterial cost or for the coming out commonly for the purpose of single or certain sort of event like training, audit methodology, audit manuals, then no, it won't be called as networking. However, it will be deemed as networking when combined with all this. You are having common business strategy, common quality controls, common policies and procedures, right? Sharing professional significant part of your professional resources including training manuals, audit methodologies, then you will be deemed to having under a single network, same network. And then once you have formed part of same network, different natures of the networking firm can be mutual entity, can be a partnership firm, can be a LLP, can be a company, right? And any other firm such as proprietorship firm or a partnership firm or LLP can be part of this networking firm. And last 2 points very very important, a single firm can join only one network And two firms having common partners can also join only one network. Single firm can join cannot join more than one network, and two firms having common partner can both the firms have to join only single network. Then we came to procedural part where we saw what in Form A you have to apply for your name of the network. Within 30 days, institute will either accept or reject it. Once accepted, your name will be kept in abeyance for 90 days. You have to apply it in Form B within 90 days and get yourself registered with the institute as a networking firm. Then, in the case of any Videshi firm coming into your networking arrangement, that is the firm outside India, then you have to apply it within 30 days. Within 30 days, you have to apply. Then if there is at all any change in constitution of the network firm, then you have to apply within 30 days in Form C. And lastly, Form B, you have to apply what in 90 days for registration. For 90 days, for within 30 days, you have to apply for registration, right? Within a period of 3 months, sorry. Within a period of 3 months. That means what? Your name would have been kept for 3 months, will be kept for abeyance, and after 3 months, if the name can be given to anyone else applying for the same. So within a period of 3 months, you have to apply it in Form B for registration of your networking institute. Then ethical compliance, we saw that many of the ethical compliances has to be followed by all the network firms. One was with respect to section 139 subsection 2, rotation of firm. If I am liable to be rotated, then my network firms also won't be liable or also won't be able to get themselves appointed as an auditor of that company. Similarly, there were other guidelines with respect to ceiling of non-audit fee. So networking firm having common partners, the ceiling will be statutory audit fee. Other than common partners, if at all there are networking firms, then the ceiling limit will be 3x of the statutory audit fee. Then guideline with respect to corporate form of practice, we saw just now that management consultancy and other services, if you are providing only those services, then yes, you can form a corporate, you can do corporate form of practice. However, it is to be noted that no audit servicing, no attestation services can be provided from this corporate form of practice. Clear? And therefore, further to add, yes, any doubt?
Sir, under in corporate form of practice,
Yeah.
in individual capacity, can you do attest functions like audit and all?
Yes, so you need to have your another firm of chartered accountants, which is in private partnership firm or LLP. Either proprietorship firm, partnership firm, or LLP. If you want to follow attestation auditing services, yes, you can have a separate firm where you are a partner
Okay.
or in a doing as a proprietorship service, and that is why they'll be saying now just see ethical compliance. Once the management consultancy company is registered with the institute, now you have to comply with the following: that you are providing management consultancy services. Now suppose you are also providing statutory audit service to the client, statutory audit service to A Limited, and therefore you cannot provide management consultancy services to the A Limited, yes or no? Therefore, as a corporate form of practice, even if you are allowed to practice for management consultancy, but you need not accept, or you need to ensure that you are not accepting internal audit or bookkeeping services. You are not accepting internal audit or bookkeeping services or other sort of services which is specifically prohibited whenever you are being appointed as a statutory auditor. So suppose you are another firm, Krupali and Associates is already doing audit of A Limited, then Krupali Lunawat and Private Limited cannot perform management consultancy services. You cannot accept internal audit services, you cannot accept bookkeeping services or any other sort of services prohibited under section 144 of Companies Act. Clear?
Okay.
Similarly,
Yes, sir.
ceiling on non-audit fee will also be applying to the other services, that is cannot exceed statutory audit limit, statutory audit fees. Yes, Krupali? You're saying something?
No, sir.
And lastly, even the corporate form of practice cannot start advertising. They also have to follow clause 6 and clause 7 of part 1 of schedule 1. Clear? Come to write up guidelines. So write up may you need to ensure that whenever you are advertising any sort of write up and any sort of writing you are doing and publishing or circulating it to the same, you need to ensure that it should be truthful, honest, no exaggerated claims about any of your firm, staff, articles, number of employees, number of staffs, nothing as such has to be there. Cannot make any disparaging references or unsubstantiated comparison. That means deteriorating remarks or manipulating remarks on any of the client or any such disparaging or unsubstantiated comparisons. should not contain any testimonials. You know testimonials, like we used to have from our student. If we someone secures good, then they you will see what testimonials in the pamphlet of the coaching institute. Same like with the audit firms, in these write-ups that they are circulating, they cannot have testimonials or endorsement concerning members or name of client. And then again, it should not contain any information about your achievement, professional attainments, or any sort of publicity should not happen. Monogram or any kind of use of catchword is also not permissible, right? Any sort of catchwords, for example, यश है तो सब है, चांडक एंड एसोसिएट्स जिंदाबाद, एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ नथिंग लाइक दैट. ठीक है. द मेंबरशिप नंबर FRN to be mentioned in the write-up. Definitely, whenever you are doing this write-up, you need to mention your membership number and firm registration number. Should not be of font size exceeding 14. Important MCQ point. Very, very important. Font size should not exceed 14 for a write-up. How much do you think is the font size of this book?
So around 11.
Yeah, 11.5. And somewhere
Right.
it's 12.
Okay.
ठीक है. Font size should not exceed 14 and shall not violate any provision of Chartered Accountant Acts. Thus, you can see write-up shall include these three or may include all these things. It can include membership number with the institute, date when you became ACA or FCA, address with which you have been registered with the institute, your age, telephone number, email, mobile number, fax number, date from which you have started holding your certificate of practice, passport style photograph, details of employee, names of the employee, services provided, logo, all these things you can mention in your write-up if you want to do so. Just go through that write-up guideline once again as a homework. We are just short of some time, need to finish this off. So I'll just start with online third-party platforms. So online third-party platforms, suppose example ClearText. You must be all aware about ClearText is a platform where others in the ClearText platform are also providing chartered accountancy services like income tax filing services, ROC filing, LLP audits, or any sort of audits other than. So all the services which chartered accountants used to provide, all these services are also being provided by other professionals in any sort of platform, sort of third party platform, online third party platform. So that is what they are saying, that number of CA firms, corporate including banks, finance companies, newspapers have set up their own website providing advisory services on taxation, and therefore some of these website also request chartered accountant to get listed here and provide these services, taxation services or auditing services. Even in ClearText, you can list yourself as a chartered accountant. They'll be providing based on the service that you provide. They'll be remunerating the same. So, however, one point to be noted here is that no other service besides consultancy and advisory can be rendered through such websites. So you can provide what? Consultancy service, you can provide advisory services, and no other service. You, if at all you are getting yourself registered in a website where they are providing plumbing services, housekeeping services, all other sort of services as well. Getting this, sort of like urban clubs. They also started providing CA services. You cannot get yourself registered there. ClearText, you won't find any other service that they are providing except consultancy and advisory services. Correct? So online third-party platform, you need to ensure that no other service is being provided except consultancy or advisory services. This would be permitted subject to the condition that the website contact address CA concerned is not provided. You cannot provide your address detail, name, or any sort of website details. Nor such website, that is ClearText, will also not contain any material which advertises professional achievements. This is important online third-party platform. Just compared to this with point number 5, application based service provider aggregators. So who all are called as aggregators? Aggregator based model, business model, aggregator model. Example, Aggregators based business model. Swiggy,
Just a
Zomato, Ola, Uber. All these are what? Aggregator based business model, right? They are aggregating what? Customers and service provider. They are just aggregating the same. Similarly, there are certain platforms where they are aggregating CA, where they are aggregating chartered accountants and persons who seek chartered accountancy services. So if you want, you can download this app Longshot. You can go through this app Longshot. You'll find what all the chartered accountants, they list their services in this app, that they want 3 days they want certain staff for doing stock audit in Indore, and they will be remunerating this much amount. Or suppose they will be listing a service concurrent audit they require on 2 months. For 2 months they require for a concurrent audit of a bank. They won't give any sort of detail about the bank. They won't give any sort of detail about their address or contact details, nothing. Longshot will perform what? If you apply to Longshot that yes, I want to apply for this concurrent audit service, I am a chartered accountant, and the CA who has listed his service that he wants to outsource the service to any other chartered accountant or any other staff or any other person, then Longshot will aggregate these two persons. They will schedule the meeting with them, and then if at all this CA is satisfied this person, then he will allot the same to this person and will remunerate the same accordingly, whatever is mentioned in Longshot. So this is a kind of aggregator based platform where they are aggregating a chartered accountant and also chartered accountant with excessive services who wants to outsource the service to another chartered accountant, and also aggregating with other chartered accountant who seeks service. Getting this? So here it is said that it is not permissible for members to list themselves with online application based service provider aggregator, wherein other categories like businessman, technician, maintenance workers, event organizer, etc. are also listed. So in Longshot, you won't see any other services that are being listed. You'll always see what chartered accountancy services. If at all they are also listing other sort of services like doctor services. There is one app where all the services is provided under one roof: chartered accountancy services, lawyer services, doctor services, engineering services. Then you cannot get yourself registered in that type of aggregator based platform. Clear? Else it is allowed. Publication of the name by CAs in telephone directories. There are certain directories, remember, like you must now it won't be available, but earlier it used to have that. There used to be a book where entire population's name, address, contact number used to be mentioned, right? Similarly, there could be a directory or telephone directory where all the chartered accountants details could be mentioned. So there are these guidelines which is being to be adhered about, that the entry should not appear in any other section or category except that of a chartered accountants. So if the name is mentioned in chartered accountants or any other sort of directory, then the name should be mentioned in the chartered accountant section only, not under engineer section or not under any other section. Similarly, the member or firm should belong to town or city to in respect of which the directory is being published. So if I belong to Raipur, I am chartered accountant from Raipur, I am providing my service in Raipur, then I cannot get myself listed in a directory issued in Mumbai. Right? I have no connection in Mumbai, I have no connection in Delhi, I cannot get myself listed there. Similarly, the order of the entries should be in alphabetical order. My name is Yash Chandak and the name is appearing in the first row. So it should not happen in the alphabetical order. Similarly, it should not be in a manner which is differential in nature, should not be a prominent or differential in nature, or should not be a restricted, and should be open to all chartered accountants or form of chartered accountants. Similarly, there is a specialized directories for limited circulation. This you can also read. Just to give a background, there could be directories for limited circulation, not available for everyone, and therefore in that particular case, suppose there is a directories which is being maintained by Ministry of Corporate Affairs with respect to independent directors who can all be independent directors. So in that case, what does it says? It says that in addition to the name, description and address of those of his firms, a member can give appropriate directorships that has held by him, reasonable personal details, and may state outside interest. He should not, however, give the name of any of his client. Getting this? These are the directories which is used for the limited circulation, limited purpose. Suppose I give an example, directories held for independent directors. Then of course you can tell your name, address, contact details, for so that any of the companies, if they want to appoint any independent director, they'll be going through the directories and they can contact you. So named, address, description, contact number, can all these be mentioned? Yes. However, you should not give the name of your clients. You should not give the name of your clients. Clear? Lastly, there is an exemption with respect to advertisement in newspaper. So already we know that we cannot advertise in newspaper, right? We saw various guidelines mentioned in clause 6, remember or not? So there they have told that there are certain exemptions, that yes, according to council general guidelines, you can advertise these 3 points in the newsletter. So advertisement for recruiting staff in the member's own office. For your office, you can advertise for recruiting staff. Similarly, for inserting on behalf of the clients requiring staff or wishing to acquire or dispose of business or property. That means you have been appointed as a liquidator, suppose. Then you can advertise in the newsletter that you need to dispose of the business or dispose of the property. Or suppose the client has appointed you to recruit the staff, then you can again advertise the same in the newsletter. And lastly, advertisement for the sale of business or property by a member acting in professional capacity as a trustee, liquidator, or a receiver. Vasuli bhai. So you have been appointed as a Vasuli bhai, then you can advertise the same. Again, you should avoid using well-known firm or leading firm, or any sort of publicity should not happen while advertising the same. Should not contain any promotional element, or should not there be any suggestion that the service offered by chartered accountant are superior to those offered by other chartered accountants. So we have done till CCG. Tomorrow we will be finishing off, since tomorrow is Saturday. Again, session will be a long session till 10:30 we might take, because we have to complete ESB, Ethical Standard Board Committee, NOCLAR, and Chartered Accountants Act, certain sections of Chartered Accountants Act. Have you all done the homework which I gave you? Reading of threats, evaluation of threats, action to eliminate the threats, safeguards.
Yes,
safeguards
sir.
for creation of safeguards so that the threats are not created in future, and fundamental principles of code of ethics. So go through that once again. I have also included memory tricks just beside it. If at all you need to learn those points, I've also tried to include the same. I'll also go through tomorrow. Okay, but first we'll complete ethical standard board decisions. Then we'll try to finish off recommendatory measure, NOCLAR, and certain amendment which came in November 2020, May 2023 is also applicable for November 2023. And then we'll finish off with Chartered Accountants Act, certain sections. Clear? So tomorrow we'll be able to finish off with CA, chapter professional ethics, chapter 18. One of the big chapters, approximately 12 to 14 marks you can expect. So do revise, please, please, please revise. Correct? Tax audit, are everyone prepared for tax audit? Okay, so I'll have to run to office now. So I'll give it to you, tax audit question paper, by tonight, by 10 p.m. across. So maybe you can solve tomorrow. By tomorrow you can all solve.
Yes,
On
sir.
Sunday we
Sure.
can discuss. ठीक है?
Yeah.
चलो then. See you. Revise. Again, I am telling you, please, if you revise now only, it will be engraved. Else you will again
So,
forget. Yeah.
so class should be start from 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Not 6:30.
Today
Okay.
only I did, because I knew that I won't be able to then complete the syllabus by tomorrow. So anyway, it will start from 7 only, don't worry. ठीक है? One or
Thank you, sir.
day or two, please adjust if at all required. Chalo.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.